Greetings to all Star Wars fans. You should definitely watch this video before the third season of The Mandalorian, because the season will close the most important story arcs from the past projects that you just might have missed. For example, you might not have watched The Rebels or decided to skip the Book of Boba Fett, or maybe there are those who haven't watched the last seasons of the Clone Wars. Anything can happen. This video is especially for you. In simple terms, we will help close the lore gap and save you from questions while watching in style like, what the heck? Where did it come from? What's that black sword? Why did Grogu come back? Luke took him away? As briefly as possible and without too much water, let's go. I will ask only one thing. Subscribe to the channel. It is very important. Bo-Katan Kryze returns many years later and plans to win the title of Mandalore, title that belongs to the rulers of their nation, and it can only be obtained by defeating the former Mandalore and taking away from him the dark lightsaber, an ancient relic of the Mandalorians, passed down from generations to generations. The one who wields the sword has power over the entire Mandalore. A few decades ago, Darth Maul defeated Pre Vizsla and took the dark saber for himself. Then after some time, Maul decided to abandon the rule and hid the sword on the planet Dathomir. Later, the sword will be discovered by Ezra Bridger, a young Padawan and a protagonist of the animated series Rebels. During the encounter, one of the ghosts of the Night Sister clan captured the body of Sabine Wren and used the dark saber in battle against the Padawan. When Ezra freed Sabine, he used the saber along with his own to destroy the altar, which was the source of the witch's power. Before leaving the planet, Wren took the dark lightsaber, recognizing it as a relic of her people. Later, Sabine ran training in the possession of a new weapon under the guidance of Kanan Jarrus. Then it became known that the dark saber was heavy enough and it would take a strong spiritual connection with the Kyber crystal to be established to own it. In fact, that's why Din Djarin did not raise the dark saber in the Book of Boba Fett and didn't manage to wield it. Having mastered the dark saber, the heiress of the Wren clan was able to claim leadership among her people, uniting the Mandalorians under her command and thereby joining Mandalore to the rebellion. Later, Sabine thought that all the Mandalore ruling staff is not her thing, and she decided to give it to Bo-Katan, considering her more worthy, who, of course, took the saber and proudly raised it up. However, later her power was no longer respected, because she received the sword as a gift, not a trophy. So Bo-Katan quickly refused it and decided that next time she would take it from the lifeless body of her new owner, whom she would kill herself. Thereby, her power would finally get stronger and the people would stop doubting. Surprisingly, the next owner of the Darksaber was Moff Gideon. How exactly he got it is unknown. We'll have to find out in the third season. However, Bo-Katan desperately wanted to kill Gideon, not in order to take the saber, but also seeking revenge for the destruction of Mandalore, since the Empire bombed the entire planet, turning it into ruins. Perhaps Gideon had a hand in this. Fate brought Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, the main character of the Mandalorian series, together in the second season, and united they decided to overtake a common enemy. It was only in the last episode that Djarin clashed in a duel with Gideon, defeating him without breaking a sweat with one Beskar spear. Since Djarin did not really delve into Mandalorian culture at all, although he calls himself a Mandalorian, he did not know any traditions and rituals there, so he took a dark saber for himself, which means he became its new owner. The most interesting thing is that Djarin didn't care about the saber, and he immediately decided to give it to Bo-Katan. But of course, she didn't accept such a gift for the second time. Now she has to fight with her new friend and get the weapon as a trophy. Well, you remember, otherwise the people won't recognize her as a ruler. That's the problem. What to do? They also became friends and colleagues. Apparently, Bo-Katan and Din Djarin decided to leave this issue for later. Baby Grogu was taken away for training by Luke Skywalker, and Djarin decided to become a bounty hunter again. At this point, the plot of the Book of Boba Fett begins, which is a quarter of the prologue to the third season of The Mandalorian. Remember I told you about the weight of the dark saber? So Djarin did not know this, and during the first time he required the saber, he cut not only his enemies but also himself, which is why he went to the blacksmith woman for advice. What to do next? Firstly, he reforged his Beskar spear into a chainmail for Grogu. Secondly, she told the story of the Darksaber and why it is so important to the Mandalorians. Jaren himself did not care about the fact that by law he became the ruler of Mandalore himself. Thirdly, Jaren was attacked by his friend, the big man Paz Vizsla, who decided to take possession of the Darksaber back to his family but quickly found himself besieged. And the most important thing is that the blacksmith woman expelled Jaren from the clan because he violated the main rule. He took off his helmet in front of others, even several times. The Mandalorian had no choice but to pay a visit to baby Grogu as his next step, whom he missed very much. There was an attachment between them and they really became a family, like father and son. Jaren thought he could easily leave the baby in the past, but no, it didn't work out. Besides, now he has to go to Mandalore and atone for his sins in order to earn forgiveness. Although it's strange having a Darksaber in his hands, he should dictate the rules, not his friend, and their clan is almost extinct already. But this is the way. Meanwhile, baby Grogu was fully comprehending the path of the Jedi along with his new teacher, Luke Skywalker, while a new Jedi temple was being built on the same green planet along the way, which we saw in the 8th episode. Meanwhile, Grogu was constantly distracted from training by remembering Jaren, reminiscing about the past, and at the same time learning Luke's lessons, which he accomplished very quickly, which made Luke notice that the kid instead remembers what he once knew rather than taking new skills from him. Meanwhile, Jaren got a new ship, an improved N1 starfighter, and flew to his named son, only to meet Ahsoka Tano, who told him, if the kid sees you, he will forever turn off the path of the Jedi. Jaren left the chainmail and left them. Then Luke received a present from Ahsoka, showed it to the kid and gave him a choice, to accept the lightsaber of Master Yoda and become a Jedi accordingly by renouncing all attachments, or take the chainmail and return to the Mandalorian, but by doing so, Grogu will abandon the path of the Jedi. The kid of course decides to return to his father. He can become a strong Jedi without Luke, by himself. I'm sure of it. And so the reunion of father and son took place in the midst of the Battle of Tatooine, when Jaren helped Boba Fett deal with the attack of the Pikes. Everything ended well and no one significant died, except only for the great Cad Bane, whom Boba pierced through. Now our heroes are ready to break into the 3rd season. That's it. I tried to tell you all the important information as briefly as possible and close the gap in the knowledge of the plot. I hope this video was interesting and useful. If so, put a like and be sure to subscribe to the channel. And do not forget that every Wednesday we'll release an analysis of the Mandalorian series. Do not miss it. In the meantime, I'm saying goodbye for a while. Thank you all for watching and see you again.